We hope everybody enjoys. So the first topic for the night, the question is: should men be looking for wives or looking for partners? I probably shouldn't have put plurals, but it is what it is. So, should men be looking for a wife or looking for a partner? So, what you see here is Kevin Samuels. If you don't know, lady, she's divorced. She has 3 kids. She left her husband, who she thought was wealthy. It later came out that he was making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. That's not wealthy. So I think her perspective is a little off, but she left a relationship because she wanted a career and so on and so forth, and she felt like she was stifled in that marriage. So when I asked the question, should men be looking for a wife or looking for a partner? Hopefully, this video gives you a little bit of context to that. We're gonna start it at the 8-minute mark.
You want a husband is what you want to be.
I absolutely do not.
Okay, you want to be married, but marriage has roles.
Correct.
You don't want to be a wife. You want to be a partner.
I want to be a wife.
Okay, you
But
were
I
a wife.
I just happen to.
You were a wife
people.
before.
That's what God made me.
Ma'am, you were what you've described and what I've heard is equality and being heard. You want to be a partner.
I want
That's
to be,
not.
I want
That's
to
a
be,
partner. It's a partner, man. It's a partner. It's not a wife.
correct.
And men are not looking. Man, what you're talking about is modern marriage, where we are partners. Men are not looking for modern marriage. It's on the decline in the West. Every race.
Okay,
Men
now,
don't want women that move this way. I need you to understand that it doesn't matter what you think. Men don't want women like this.
So are you telling me that every woman who's on here listening right now should not work? Because that's where I'm getting a little confused.
I didn't say every woman on here should not work. I don't care what you do. You accept the outcomes. If you want to be an individual, you wanted to be heard. You wanted your business and your career. That means you were an individual above your marriage.
That means I got into a marriage where I shouldn't have, correct?
Man, it doesn't matter. You have children, and you had a duty. Are you a Christian on top of this?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Okay, well, then where in Christianity were you allowed to leave your husband?
I did not.
Well, not leave. But
you're allowed to divorce. You're allowed to separate based off of infidelity, in which.
But you did. But also, ma'am, you also know that your husband didn't want you to go out working either.
He did not want me to go. He did not want me to go to school. But
thank you.
But there was a point in our relationship he got hurt. And
okay.
I had
okay. So this is what I mean. I'm not going to debate back at semantics. Men don't want to do this right here. You're right, man. Be right. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Men don't want any part of this.
All right. So, should men be looking for a wife or looking for a partner? By the way, Alex, this came through from Twitch. So shout out to Alex. All right. Should men be looking for a wife or a partner? Now, P, I want to start with you, but let's make it make sense. So, in any relationships, right, there's a dominant, right? There's a submissive, right? I would assume the dynamics matter regardless of orientation, right? So, if you're the submissive person in the relationship, right? Should there be a dynamic such as this where the two people should be partners, or one should be in that wife-esque stereotypical type role in the framework?
I think regardless of orientation or anything, it should be approached as a partnership. I don't believe in like that old school way of thought where essentially women were property or the submissive person is property or again we convolute submissive with duties or whatever or submitting to your husband or your dominant partner or surrendering yourself completely. I do think that it's detrimental, right? Like I think it's detrimental and kind of ass backwards, to be honest, because the same people that say like we're not slaves anymore, right? We don't count as 3/5 of a person, but what are we now? Like we don't want to be 3/5 of the person, but you want your wife or your significant other to essentially be lesser than you. So all that to say, like it's a partnership, and I don't think that there's anything wrong. I understand what the guy was saying. I still don't follow him, but it's overall a partnership. You want somebody that's going to be a supplement, or I'm sorry, not a supplement, a complement to you. So where you're lacking, they fill in. Where vice versa. Not somebody that has to do everything. That puts a burden on one person, and that's just not logical or fair. Might have worked back in when niggas were eating loaves of fishes or loaves of bread and fish, but that's not us anymore.
I assume you're referring to the parable. Um,
Whomever.
yeah,
I know that's your thing. That's
I ain't gonna kick y'all after that tonight. Okay, Alex, should men be looking for a wife or looking for a partner?
I feel like your wife should be your partner. Marriage is a partnership. And I think when we're speaking about what would be in a marriage, what would be the difference with someone just being your partner or just being your wife?
So you answered the question. Now you have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, hold that thought. Sean, should a man be looking for a wife or looking for a partner?
A wife, a wife. Um, I don't disagree with uh, having someone you are married to be your partner,
Hmm.
but it's role specific, like was mentioned in the video. Role specific says wife, and I don't think that's lesser than. I just think that to B's point, it may be both complementary and supplemental.
Okay, okay. Aisha, what you think?
Mm, come back. I'm still thinking.
Golly. Okay. Adrian, what you feel?
Um, I definitely say wife, right? If I look at it, like if I put the difference on it, like a partnership is more so you just have a common goal, right? Versus a wife, she's also going to be submitted or like me, right? So she's invested in me as a person, me as a man, right? And so I think like I get when people are like, oh, submissive means to he just makes all of the decisions. But it's like if you marry the right person and if you know what a wife is and the power of submission, it can do wonders for a marriage, right? It's not about being greater than, but it's just about operating in the role that you were created to operate in. And when y'all both do that, like nothing can stop y'all. I think it just puts order, puts things into place, and makes things really run a lot smoother when it's done right on both ends.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Q, what you feel?
Um, I think a pipe. No, I'm just joking. I think that there was a time where a wife was something that maybe would be more a good fit for men, right? But I think with the way that the economy is, the way that society is structured now, partnership is way more important. And so I think nowadays men should be looking for um, partners is a partner instead of a wife. You thinking now all the way back to when people was working farms together and all that shit. What nigga now got a farm and a whole bunch of kids he need taken care of. You think of like the movie like The Color Purple. Celie needed to be a wife to Master. We not living in that time no more. So if you got a woman with you and it's kind of like to Pete's point, and y'all not partnering up, you're going to be overwhelmed probably on the providing side, she's going to be overwhelmed in all the other areas that you're leading on her to be that submissive individual. And I just think in today's society that wouldn't work well.
Hmm. Alex, now what was your question?
So I was saying, in a marriage, right? What would be the difference between someone being your wife and then just your partner? What would the difference be?
Yeah. So, just so you know, what I was gathering from the clip, right? Like the wife supports the husband, and in turn the family thrives, right? The partners, they have a common goal, but they're working on them not necessarily together. It feels like, right? The argumentative, right? That women are not in the home, that masculine energy. Yeah, to be a partner, there has to be some equality in like how you operate, right? But with a wife, right? She is a helpmate, right? She's gonna help you get to where you need to go, and then everybody prospers from that. You know what I mean? She doesn't necessarily have her own like goals, right? It's what's gonna get the family there, and oftentimes she works that through her husband. You know, also in a partnership with the 50-50s, how do you make decisions? Right? Somebody has to constantly concede, right? While wife husband dynamic, that's your greatest console, right? You go to her for understanding and information so that you can make the best decisions, and then she supports you in that. I think these partnerships are what's dissolving, right, at 53%, because too many men are thinking that they need a partner when in actuality they need a wife, right? But they're trying to like, I don't know. Maybe they just don't know, but it ain't working. So that's kind of how I would break that down a little bit, Alex. What do you think?
Um, I'm not disagreeing with it, but I don't know. Like when I think of marriage, it's a partnership. Maybe I'm speaking because right now I do not have children, so I'm speaking from that perspective. But me playing my role as a wife, a part of that is also being your partner, making sure that we are achieving our goals together, and that I'm helping you to achieve your goal as my husband, so that when we choose to expand our family, that we're on the same page of things. So I just don't see how you can have one without the other, personally.
Okay. I think the partnerships start to get like, let's say, like work, right? So what happens in work? Like, what would happen like when the babies come, and then I don't know, yeah, your husband has a job that you guys got to move to Texas, right? But you really like your job here. Like, then what happens?
You have to do what's best for the entire family.
Mm-hmm.
But in that situation here, who would be making more money and
Right.
have more what appears to be financial security?
Yeah. So the thing is, I can say the husband, right, to make it easy, right, to just win it.
Mm-hmm.
But statistically, men make more money, right?
Right.
Men in the office and in corporate settings
Hmm.
tend to, you know, get up a little bit higher. Of course, there's outliers and anecdotal experience. So if I was a betting man, I would probably bet on her husband to be more prosperous in the end, just based on the statistics.
Right.
Right. So let's say Alex was going to get a 10K bump. His bump was 5, but then his macro picture may have a further end, right? May
Mm-hmm.
have a greater progression. So they might have to maybe take a loss right now, but then they may be prosperous in the future just based on, you know, the money and the statistics and how things usually go, because women hit a ceiling quicker.
Right. So I'm saying in a partnership, if the decision was to go with what the wife has going on, that would just be a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it
Or
has anything to do with like submission at that point. I think
mm-hmm.
it's just like what's the better decision to help the family.
So I think that it could. So is it a bad decision? Because if you're looking at the next 2 years, that 10K as opposed to the 5, that extra 5 may come in handy, right?
Is that
So
guaranteed?
what with the husband?
Yeah, because we can
No.
talk about future, right? We can talk about future increases. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
my salary based on what the government has projected for the next 10 years and my next grade level, right? But that also changes every year. It goes up
Mhm.
every year unless like 2020 they froze. Why? Because of Corona.
Yeah.
So we can say like, yeah, I know I'm going to make more money. We can do this now, but in the long run, sure. But in the immediateness, if you are more financially secure as my wife, that's funny, right? If you are more financially secure as my wife, why are we going to risk what may or may not happen? Like, why are we going to transplant, pick up everything we have when we can really just work this out? I can find another job here. I can find another job that'll guarantee me money. I can sign on another bonus. I can do all that great stuff here. It,
Economics. Well, that the simple answer to that is economics 101, right? Risk and reward go hand in hand, right? So, not to just be short with it, but that's what it would be. But as a wife, you're gonna support what your husband has going on, right? Because the overwhelmingly it is for the greater good in the long run, right? So a wife would say, babe, this is what you feel we should do for long-term implications. Then the wife's rolling with a partner. You got to have discussion. That's the discussion. She may be weighing what she's doing as opposed to what you're doing, right? And it just is a different dynamic.
I take issue with that.
Right.
Not like I take issue with it because correct. I mean, because we talk about equity across the board and everything else. When you start talking, I'm sorry, the rest of the world, not
put him in the fucking bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Not the misogynists that clearly run rampant.
Well,
you're mad about it. No.
Well, go ahead.
Asshole. But we talk about equity. We teach our kids in general, right? Have a mind for yourself. Exploit like yourself. And then you want us to then tell these girls, these women, you have to forget all of that and throw that part of yourself away, right? Because your man is here. And we all know we don't make the best choices. I don't care what you say. We don't make the best choices. We literally psychologically mature slower than these women. And we are now going to put ourselves in this place because I make more money. I can make more money because I have a penis. Follow what I say. Put your personal stuff aside. That you literally just treating this person like they're your child. This is not an adult. Shut the hell up, sis. This is not an adult. This is not somebody who can actually help bring the income to the house. Then they got to do everything. Again, I think that's the difference with partnership. When you say partnership, and it's automatically, at least the context that I'm getting from this conversation is partnership equals confrontation. And that shouldn't be the case. If two adults are in a partnership, a healthy one, you have the discussion. If it's as natural and normal as you say, and I'm just saying you in general, as you say, where women will submit, then more than likely, and they also are better peacemakers, right? So more than likely they will concede or compromise. Compromise is where we're looking for. But if men can't do that in the same token, then we're lost. That's the issue. The issue is that we don't do that.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of variables that go into that. If you're trying to grasp, like in that scenario of moving based on somebody's new job or what they can acquire, I think you got to look more than the financial standpoint behind it, because what does it look like if you pick up and move your family to Texas because your wife got a new job, but you as a man being home deteriorates the household until you find a new job? Was that worth the move when he was stable and financially secure where you were at, but because of a potentially better opportunity financially that may not work out in the household because now you're not normal, right? Now dad's making lunches and sending the kids off to school, and there may be a different variable than what you're comfortable with. So it may deteriorate the household in that way. Then that's another problem in itself. So trying to consider like, oh, should we just move because whoever makes the most money isn't the best decision-making process.
Because you're saying based on who's making the money when you move, the dynamic switches and then the household could suffer.
Correct.
I like that.
So what hearing is if the woman is leading, then the household suffers.
Hell yeah.
And that's what we call, and that, for instance, what we call toxic
So,
masculinity.
Ham, would you
What?
show your
No, that's
daughters?
wait. That's
So,
that's
Ham,
not what I
Put him in
said.
the fucking
But
bedroom.
that's what Hemp is hearing.
right, that's what he's hearing.
How am
We're
I
not
hearing
agreeing.
that?
We're not disagreeing with you, Sean. It's just what Hamp is saying. But Hamp, being that you are a
What?
father of daughters, are you encouraging your daughters to just lead their husband, just follow along their husband because he said we gotta go,
Yeah,
or should?
because
But it doesn't make sense.
they're picking the right man, right? So if I teach them what to look for, right, they're gonna understand their roles, right? They're gonna be versed, right? They're talented. Hopefully they all talented. It's a lot of them, you know, and I think hopefully we edify them and educate them enough so they have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to get with a man that they can follow, right, and that they can support and push for him to be his best self.
Sometimes good people don't always make the best decisions in the
Yeah,
moment.
you make mistakes,
Right.
right? Everyone make mistakes.
So again, if your daughter's future husband decides, like, you know what, I'm making this decision and it doesn't make sense, it's going to shake up everything, is she supposed to just shut up, be quiet, follow along because that's her husband?
Well, no, remember I said she would be his greatest console,
Okay.
right? So they would have a conversation, right? It shouldn't lead to discourse because my daughters, hopefully, I can help them understand they should remain in their femininity so that it would only be discourse at the most and not an argument as much as possible. Shit happens, right? People get upset.
Right.
But if they can remain in that, then I think that they'll come to like quality decisions where oftentimes her perspective can come through and she can convey it to him so that they can make the right decisions. So that's kind of how I break that down. I like that breakdown. So also